Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to introduce the band since we're all friends and family here tonight. We're celebrating 2018. And we're going to start out, the Black Irish Band. We've been together almost 29 years. Featuring over here from Columbia State Park, really a town called Springfield, which is a little gold mining town. All that's left there is the old cemetery near the Columbia Airport. Stephen MacArthur from Columbia. All the way from San Francisco, California, James Dean Nelson. Brought his own cheering section, I see. And all the way from the hard rock mining town of Sonora, California, the Queen of the Sierras, Stanulin Emmons. And I'm all the way from Jamestown, California. My name is Patrick McInerney, and we're the Black Irish Band. We'd like to open up with something different tonight. This is from our last album, Give Us All Your Whiskey. And we're like purveyors or ambassador to the music of the California Gold Rush country. I kind of grew up in that area. And me, Stan, and Steve are from the Sierras, foothills area. And so much a part of our rich history was the immigrants that came there. Gold was discovered actually in Sonora and Woods Creek back in 1848. There was a group of Sonoran miners that lived there, staked some claims there, and they mined there proficiently for many years until they were kind of booted out of the area because of foreign miners tax. But mining was very good in that particular area, especially Woods Creek. A lot of gold was found there. This song was actually written just a little bit before the California Gold Rush. It's more associated with the Mexican-American War. It talks about Saniano, probably President Polk. And talks about a young sailor who's going to come up to the California gold fields. It's an old classic from the gold rush time period known as Santiano. Going to feature James Dean Nelson.
All the gold's gone now. Well, mostly.
Ready? Almost there, boyo. Don't jump the gun. All right, boy. I'm ready now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That works.
Across the river, from the river, keep away, signing out, hide around, keep on going to school, way out. We borrowed a little from the Kingston Trio.
Can you guys hear my guitar up there? You are on the sound. We don't have the sound line. We are the sound line. Can you hear now? Yes. This song now we're going to ship off to Boston. Contemporary Irish music. It seems if you follow Irish music, it's changed over the years. When I lived in Ireland back in the 1980s, there wasn't really a big Irish music scene going on in Ireland. But now Irish music is very progressive. If you're into that kind of music, it's very popular. Groups like Flogging Molly and Dropkick Murphy definitely have brought Irish music to younger people that never would consider this as being a form of music. They'd be more into hip-hop probably and rap. But these Irish groups are kind of proclaiming Irish music in a new fashion, and they're using traditional instruments. We picked this song by the Dropkick Murphys because it features piano, accordion, and banjo, which is kind of the mainstay of the Black Irish band. We're more of a ballad band. But one thing we do feature is the banjo and the accordion, or melodeon. So we decided we'd do at least one song by the Dropkick Murphys. This was featured in the movie The Departed, which was an Academy Award-winning song. But it was just a perfect song for our Black Irish band. It's a more contemporary tune called Shipping Off to Boston. So not to be outdone by the Dropkick Murphys, we actually ride our own brand of West Coast music in equal time to our story, since a lot of our history has to do with the gold rush. And if any of you have studied your gold rush history, you know that overnight, Yerba Buena Harbor, which is a sleepy little seaside community here, before the gold rush, and then when the gold rush hit overnight, it became San Francisco. People came from all over the world, of course. And with any of these mining camps and these places of transportation, of course the saloons, the gamblers, and the ladies would of course follow. But I'm sure there were a lot of women from all over the world that came to San Francisco or Frisco in the day. And it wasn't uncommon for sailors to jump ship, captains to leave everything there in the harbor. A lot of the breakwater actually was formed by old sailing ships. A lot of San Francisco was made up of all these wooden ships and steamships of the time. And it wasn't uncommon for them to leave everything there behind and go up to the gold fields. They barged up the American River up to where we are, up to Tuolumne. They came by wagon and all the way up farther north up to Grass Valley, searching for gold. And overnight, San Francisco was a big town. Everybody was coming there. They had the latest French fashions, liquor you could get there. There were the gamblers, and of course, there were the swindlers. And I wrote this song, and it's about being swindled out of your money. So this story, it probably played out many a time. It's about a young Irish immigrant who heard about the California gold rush, and he assembled all his money in his pocket, booked passage on a Yankee Clipper, which was the fastest thing going back in those days, came all around Cape Horn, arrived in Frisco Harbor, and he's going to go up the gold fields in a couple of days, but first he gets these confidence men that want to work him out of some money and some ladies and such. Before he knows it, he's lost everything. Everything he's owned is gone, and he has nothing to show for it. He's basically naked as a jaybird and now just walking down the road. And that's the basis of this brand new song I wrote. It's called Frisco. Short for San Francisco. 1851. The poor miner, Irish immigrant, lost everything he had. 1, 2, 3, 4. To all you open miners who brave the stormy sea, arrive at San Francisco, get cut down at your knee. To all you Johnny Lindley, you better heed this call. Better pack your bags up before they take it all. To hell with you, old Frisco, and all your lying cheats. You stole away me money and left me on the streets. And now I've no provision, you'll help me find my gold. I'm naked as a jaybird and walking down the road. Hey, naked as a jaybird and walking down the road. There are ships out in the harbor from every port of call. Guided by the sailors, they done and left them all. The smart one took the river, the dumb one stayed behind. Makes me out a jackass, cause I'm the latter kind. Frisco, and all your lying cheats. You stole away me money and left me on the streets. And now I've no provision to help me find my gold. I'm naked as a jaybird and walking down the road. He's naked as a jaybird and walking down the road. How about some accordion? By the way, it's a brand new song, and that will be on our 26th album release. We're hoping to have it out in March, but it looks like April probably right now. That's going to be on the brand new 26th album called Warriors of the West. And we're also going to do a brand new song tonight later in the evening, debuting a brand new song never heard before. That one we've been playing a little bit the last couple months, but it's from the new album. And we'd like to showcase our history from where we're from. Of course, it's not kind of a derogatory song, I guess, toward Frisco, but for the rest of us, we have a good laugh, because that's the way it really was. I mean, a lot of people lost everything in the gold rush. You know who made all the money, were the merchants. They sold you the mining supplies. By the time, these gold rushes play out, by the time most people get there, everything's been staked out. Like the last gold rush, everything was already spoken for. By the time Jack London got up there, in fact, I think everything was staked out. There was nothing to be mined at that point. And that happened a lot in these gold rushes. You had to be right there at the beginning, or you didn't end up with a darn thing. You'd be naked as a chamber.
I work in San Francisco. It hasn't changed that much.
By the way, Jimmy's a cab driver. I'm a few cab drivers that speak English.
That's not the way it was when I started.
Well, right now, we're gonna do an Irish tune. One thing about the band, we've been together about 29 years, and we love the music of the Clancy brothers. Clancy's, they actually kind of brought Irish music to Ireland. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of the songs that you hear today by a lot of the rock bands, the punk rock pub bands, these songs were actually brought forward by groups long before the Pokes and all that. It was the Clancy brothers and Irish Rovers and the Dubliners. They were playing these songs, at the pubs and stuff. And when the Clancy brothers came over to New York City there, over in Broadway and such, they started doing little night shows. The Clancys came over from Ireland, and they were actors and such. And then they realized that people wanted to hear some of these old Irish songs, so they started doing them, and they got really famous. And this is one of the songs they brought over with them, and it's been around for many years, probably well over 150 years. But most Irish bands will play this song. We've been doing it since the beginning. It's called the Irish Rover. And, like the last song, it has kind of a comical ending. It's another kind of sailor song. And the story, like all tragic Irish stories, everybody dies in the song, including the dog. So if you guys were open to come here and hear some sad, sad songs to commit suicide to, you're going to be sorry. Better. I would suggest you drink more liquor. Because these songs are for a drinking crowd, so there's no excuse here, folks. We got wine and beer.
It was Slugger. That's what Slugger O'Toole did.
That's right, Slugger O'Toole. Okay, we're going to give you the Irish Rover. Look at boy, this is drunk. Steve and Jimmy, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. July 1806, we set sail from the cold, in our ship, with a cargo of freight for the Grand City Hall. She's a bell that can come to you before, oh, how the day will be bold. Yeah, Sunday night, and it's kind of very black. sing an old sea shanty. This is from our last album, our 25th album, Give Us All Your Whiskey. It was the title of the album. Everything on that album has something to do with drinking and liquor. Since libation is really one of the few things we have to look forward to, that and death and taxes, I suppose. Yeah, raise your hand. We know we're professionals. We're professional drinkers. The Black Irish Band has only been associated with drinking songs. We don't do so good in Utah, but most places do. Amongst the Catholics, we're very popular.
So, even in Utah, they come up to us after the concert. They're like, "We do more drinking songs."
Even in Provo.
They look around shiftily before they.
Remember when we went out to pizza in Provo, and like, where's the beer? Well, we don't serve beer. Without further ado, let's do a song from our brand new album, Give Us All Your Whiskey album. This is called Whiskey's the Life of Man. Features James G. Nelson.
Is the life of man, has always been since time began. Oh, whiskey, oh, Johnny, oh, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. Rise her up from down below. Now I drinks it young and I drinks it old. I drinks it hot and I drinks it cold. Oh, whiskey, oh, Johnny, oh, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. Rise her up from down below. Now whiskey from an old tin can and a bottle full for the shanty man. That's me. Oh, whiskey, oh, Johnny, oh, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. Rise her up from down below. Working on board ship gets mighty old. I'm going up there to them Sierras. I'm gonna dig me all of that gold. Oh, whiskey, old Johnny, oh, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard let's go. Rise her up from down below.
Well, this is the time to celebrate all things Scottish. January, of course, is the official month to be Scottish. We celebrate the great poet Robert Burns. So we're going to do, this is very unusual for us because we're mostly do Irish tunes, but we do, a lot of our Irish tunes are actually considered Scottish ballads too, but this is definitely pure Scottish music here. This is called Sweet Afton. The words to this was written by Robert Burns. Every January we celebrate Robert Burns by having a supper where we have the blessing of the haggis. How many of you have been to a Burns supper? You Celts out there? How many Scots do we have in the audience tonight? Any Scots? A few of you? Okay. This is a beautiful song called Sweet Afton. It's a gorgeous song. And originally though, this he wrote the words, but there's a couple of different versions. This was actually done by a more contemporary group called Nickel Creek, the arrangement. And
among thy green graves, floating, sweet river, the theme of my life. My Mary's asleep by thy murmured stream, floating, sweet after, disturb not your dream. Sounds through the land. Oh, you are thy neighboring hills. They march with the horses of clear winding rill. There daily I wonder as moon rises high. My thoughts and my Mary's sweet cards in my thy banks and thy valleys below, where wild meadows like roses grow. And there oft the smiling evening sweeps over the lea. My sweet scented bird shades my Mary. Disturb not her
Now we're going to do a brand new song we never performed before, and this is another Scottish tune. We're following up 2 songs from Scotland. We can't get outdone by Goldenbow, who does a lot of Scottish tunes. We actually have a lot in our set list. You know, we probably have well over 100 and 200 songs in our set list. So when we come to a concert, every set list is a little different. And tonight we just made it up on the fly. We're like the Grateful Dead. We don't really plan too much ahead of time. Because our idea is to make every show different. I mean, a lot of these folk bands that were touring like back in the day, like the Trio and all those other groups, the Limelighters, they had everything down where if you saw them at this night, this town, and that night, they'd be doing the same songs, the same jokes. We keep it different. So we're hearing tonight is the first time it's ever been done like this. And this particular song, we've only done once before. And it's called McPherson's Rant. It's a song from Scotland. We're going to feature James D. Nelson. James, explain a little bit about McPherson's Rant.
It's about a famous swordsman and outlaw. And apparently this song was a hit in the late 40s, actually. Made the top charts, a version of it. So this is our version. And it's another poem by Robert Burns. We just did a Burns supper last month up in Nevada City. That was pretty cool. So hope you like it.
There's Scottish song for you. Let's wrap it up.
Farewell, ye dungeons, dark and strong, a wretch's destiny. McPherson
you guys are actually lucky tonight if you're Scottish. You're getting the bonus Scottish set tonight by the Black Irish Band. This May I was at the ancestral home of California hero to us that follow the building of the national park system. It took a lot of pleading to set aside land. A lot of it in California and the West was all privatized. The timber industry, mining that owned most of the land, and then the great heroic president, I don't care what you say about him, he was an amazing man. Theodore Roosevelt lived in a time where, I mean, it's amazing what that man went up against. You talk about courage. If you want a president in history, I'll tell you, that guy, whether you agree or not, that guy had some cojones. That man was a brave man. You know, he grew up, he was sickly, I mean, he was unhealthy. The doctor said he probably wouldn't make 30. You know, they said, this kid ain't gonna be able to box or do anything. That guy made himself a real man, I'll tell you. I actually wrote a song on one of our albums about Teddy Roosevelt, but he's kind of responsible actually for setting up our National Forest Service. I'm a Forest Service Ranger and also involved with the National Park Service. And he listened to people, he heard voices and such. And one of those voices was from an immigrant from Dunbar, Scotland. And this May, I finally got to go to the ancestral home of John Muir, who was born in Dunbar. And then he came out to California here, and he lived in the East Bay here, or this area. And then he moved up to the Sierras, the foothills originally near Hornitos and Snelling area. And then one day he walked into the beautiful Yosemite Valley and just fell in love with everything. And he authored many a great book about the mountains of California, which caught my eye. I was 12 years old. Imagine a 12-year-old kid now today picking up a book called The Mountains of California and being enthralled, but I was enthralled. And the man has inspired me and all the things I've done in my life, so it's only right that I should write a song about him. And this is called The Ballad of John Muir, and amazing man. He came here and he changed a lot of people to believe that you got to conserve these wild places. Because you go back to Scotland, you know, around the 1800s, a lot of their natural woodlands were all destroyed. Most of Western Europe was just devastated by shipbuildings and forts and castles. Wood was being harvested at an alarming rate. They lost a lot of their natural woods. In fact, when you go to Scotland today, and Ireland especially, most of the wood you see there, the trees that are grown were planted more recently. And a lot of them are grown North American species that never even grew there. And John Muir knew that back home in Scotland, things were being wiped out. So he said, this is beautiful, California, these forests, these wildlands. We got to do something to protect it. So of course, you know, Theodore Roosevelt was all about that, protecting the lands. And so this song is in honor of John Muir, born in Scotland. And believe it or not, John Muir is on the California Quarter. That's how important this man is. Ronald Reagan's not on there, Jerry Brown's not on there. John Muir, there's a reason. He had a purpose in life. It wasn't about money with him, it wasn't about wealth. He cared about the wild places. Read some of his words, beautiful words.
And he's buried right across the bay here.
That's right.
And you can visit his gravesite now. They lifted it up.
So from the banks of Scotland to the California coast, into the mountains like a child.
From the banks of Scotland to the California coast, into the mountains like a child. Said he was crazy, for he called the trees his friend. He was a man nature would defend her till the end. Across the river, far and wide, into the forest, like a mother to a child. How the canyons and the mountains sing. John Muir's out there, if only we believe. How men cut the forest, move the earth to build a mine. Gold the only lure for their crimes. John would never let the axe flat or that shovel fall. Tried to save the beauty for his one and all. Across the rivers, far and wild, into the forest, like a mother to a child. How the canyons and the mountains sing. John Muir's out there.
My dad's always giving me a bad time. Mind you, my dad's 95. He says, "Your songs are so serious, Patrick. When are you going to write some funny songs?" Well, what am I going to write about, Dad? I mean, you don't like my shipwreck songs? You don't like songs about Teddy Roosevelt? Can you write something more humorous? I said, okay. So when I started out with the United States Forest Service in 1978, I was right out of high school. And the summer I spent with the Forest Service was working on a brush disposal crew. What my job was not that glamorous. It was actually before I got my firefighting credentials, my red card. So I spent the whole summer cutting brush and piling it called a fuel crew. And I remember going to work every day. There was a term we used on Highway 4. I worked on the Calaveras Ranger District on Stanislaus. And in the summertime, we're trying to get up to our workplace. There's that big silver trailer, that big trailer, that RV. This is way back in the late 70s. People driving these big, huge units moon units on the road. And my boss said that, oh, that's another one of those road toasters. Have you ever heard that term, road toaster? Now, some of you I know are old elderly, me too included. We know friends, or you might own an RV like a Winnebago, but some of them, let's face it, folks, are getting as big as semi-trucks they are nowadays, yeah. And they get on the highway and you got 20, I know I'm offending some people out there, they got 20 or 30 cars behind them, and for God's sakes, they never pull over. And if you're sitting there trying to get to work, of course, later in the evening, we like them because then we can go ahead and milk the overtime, but going to work, we want to get out in the woods so we got a good place to sleep. Did I say that? No, I didn't say that. But anyways, Road Toasters is the name of the song I wrote. And it's about those wonderful Winnebagos, those big giant, big huge Spartan trailers, aluminum, big silver stainless steel trailers. We call them road toasters because they look like, toasters. You toast your bread. So that's the term. I wrote this song, and this is on our brand new album. The new album is called Warriors of the West. And this is one of the more funnier songs. And we're actually going to feature Stan Emmons here. He gets to sing tonight. And this is the beauty of owning a big road toaster. Yeah. Remember that great movie with Lucille Ball and Des Arnaz, The Longest Trailer? Think about that when you think of this song. And me being a forest ranger for all these years, it always cracks me up, because my idea of camping is a bedroll in the back of the truck. I throw it out, sleep under the stars. So I go find a nice, beautiful, pristine campground, think everything's great, then 5 o'clock, there comes one of the big road toasters in there. They pop out the windows, they got satellite TV, they got a generator blare until 11 at night. Spoil my camping experience, but I realize some of you love your road toaster, but there's no harm in that in the song. I hope you see the humor in it all. Road Toaster, first time we've ever performed a song anywhere. Might be the last, I don't know. We're having a lot of protests by Winnebago. I can still know where he's with this song. Actually, this guy owns one, and he's singing lead, right?
Dirty little secret right there.
We're not trying to offend anybody. We're trying to offend all of you. Ready? Ready, boy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Early in the morning, my camping gear is packed. Everything that's needed right there in the back. Later on the highway, the traffic's slowing down. 30 cars are backed up, so there must be one around. Road toaster, driving down the road, they never use the shoulder. They got somewhere to go. Road toaster, flying home on wheels, on the creature covers to make their camping real. Some drive a Winnebago and some drive a family bus. They're coming all shapes and sizes, the biggest semi-truck. Tearing down the highway, they're going 25. Long line of drivers with road rage in their eyes. Road toaster, driving down the road, they never use the shoulder. They got somewhere to go. Road toaster, modern home on wheels. For the creature comfort, make their driving real. Jim Arthur.
road toaster, toaster, down down the road. Never use a shoulder, got somewhere to go. Road toaster, toaster, on your roll on wheel. On the creature comfort, make your driving wheel. First time I ever did that song, you're very kind. We're going to do one of our old standards from our older album, California Story. We actually just did a brand new version of this song that's less processed, less orchestration, more acoustic guitars. Originally wrote this song on Sonora Pass. It was back 1995, and I was camped out. It was on, I think that was Memorial Day weekend, and I was up there. There was quite a bit of snow, and I camped up there. It was really cold, I remember. I just kind of pitched a tent. I got up in the morning, I had my guitar. I started walking. The wildflowers were still up there. At the higher elevation of 9,000 foot, you still have wildflowers all the way into August. And I remember just walking, and this song just came to me. That's a simple, a lot of these songs that I write, they just come. I don't know where they come from, beyond somewhere. But a lot of the songs on the album I wrote just right after my mom died. Some of them were funny and some were serious. And this song just came to me many, many years ago. And we like to dedicate it to two people from the band. In 2004, we lost our wonderful guitar player and mandolin player. He loved playing in this band. He had so much passion. I think he actually played here in Benicia way back when. His name was Kenneth Darby. He died in a motorcycle accident, Ken Darby. And unfortunately, our bass player, Richard Restivo, we just lost him in April. So it was very tragic. He was 64 years old, and he had a lung ailment, and he died really quick, and we miss him. He was the Italian Sicilian of the band. He had been with the band since the very beginning of the concept. So this is, I think, a perfect song to write to them, because both of them performed this song many times in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and that's what the song is about. The beautiful monolith known as the Sierra Nevadas. They go all the way from Kern County all the way up to Lassen County, and having spent over 20 seasons with the U.S. Forest Service, I've worked in many of the forests and enjoyed the beauty in the morning, in the evening, in the snow, the spring, and the fall. And hopefully you can relate to this, to your camping experience. I started out in the Boy Scouts, taking 50-mile hikes on the John Muir Trail. And then, so anyways, we'd like to dedicate this to our past members, Rick Restivo and Kenneth Darby. In the High Sierra. Okay, boys.
I gather my memories of times that I knew, lost of summers with skies from blue, families and friends that have now gone away, deep in my heart, forever to stay. When we danced upon granite till the stars came to call, afternoon daydreams that evening would fall, thunderstorms gathered sing us a song, campfires would play into the dawn.
and Richard and Tim Gardner. We have two of our friends here tonight. They're like the biggest fans of this band. Now, we've been together all these years. You think we have a lot of fans. We have a few fans, and we appreciate you coming out. But you know, out of the years, these folks are the most dedicated. Jim and Julie, this is for you. You guys have been with us. These guys follow us to Monterey. Wherever we go, there they are. And thank you for coming. We love you guys.
We love you.
We're going to do a song for you. You want to hear the Golden Vanity? This is off our album, Dark Ocean. This is one of the oldest songs we actually perform. And it's a story about a young sailor. He's a kind of a cabin boy who gets goaded in by the crew that he says, I can swim over to that Spanish galleon, swim underneath the water line and drill a hole in that boat and cause it to sink. And the captain says, whatever you want to do is fine. If you do it, I'll give you my daughter, I'll give you all the gold in the world. And that's the basis of the song. This was written in the 1700s, so it's a very old song. This is our rendition, our version. We're going to feature James Dean Nelson on the story of the Golden Vanity. This is a maritime song from our album, Dark Ocean.
Yes, there are many versions of this story. It's unlikely anything like this ever transpired, that they actually sank a boat by drilling a hole with a little hand drill in there. Nice thought. Started?
Golden Vanity. Jim and Julie.
Thank you.
And it wasn't because you got me the wine.
Whether this happened or not, just go with it, okay?
Imagination. It's all about imagination. That's what Walt Disney said.
Now there was a lofty ship, and she sailed on the sea, and the name of that ship it was the Golden Vanity, and we feared she would be taken by that Spanish enemy, as she sailed on the lowland sea, on the lowland road, as she sailed on the lowland sea. Now there spake a little cabin boy, said, now Captain, what will you give me if I should destroy, if I should swim over to that Spanish enemy and sink them in the lowland sea, in the lowland road, oh, and sink them in the lowland sea. The captain said, I'll give you silver and gold in great store, and the hand of my daughter that lives upon the shore. I will give you gold and jewels and treasure most of more, if you sink them in the lowland sea, in the lowland road, if you sink them in the lowland sea. The cabin boy bared his breast, he jumped into the sea, and did swim over to that Spanish enemy, and with his tiny drill, he prepared to drill holes and sink them in the lowland sea, in the lowland road, and sink them in the lowland sea. Now with his tiny oar, he drilled holes twice and thrice, while the Spaniards were playing cards and some were playing dice, and he let that water in, just dazzled in their eyes, as they sang in the lowland sea, in the lowland road, and they sang in the lowland sea. Now that cabin boy swam back to the church of the crew, but the captain would not heed him now, his promise he drew. Captain said, I will catch you, I will sink you too, I will sink in the lowland sea, in the lowland road, I will sink you in the lowland sea. Now the cabin boy swam back over to the larboard side and said, yes, mate, lift me up, I am drifting in the tide. Well, they lifted him on deck, Now the crew, they all turned pirates, then and there they did decide they would stand against all flags and the unknown countryside. And they took the captain up and they threw him in the tide, and they landed in the lowland sea. In the lowland, oh, they landed in the lowland sea. In the lowland, oh, they landed in the lowland sea.
We're going to finish it off with a love song. Start Counting Down. An Ulster. And it's called The Start of Counting Down. And it's going to feature Steve MacArthur. And this is on our newest album, Exactly, Give Us All Your Whiskey, from that album, Start Counting Down. All right, let's see. I got to grab the right tool. And then right after that, we got libation happening. We got wine and beer over there. We're going to take a wine and beer break. And then we got some rousing songs on the second set. So we hope you enjoy this. This is from the album, Give Us All Your Whiskey.
And if anybody has any whiskey,
They don't have a license for whiskey here.
we have a parking lot, don't they?
They got got the trunk of my car.
I've never done that. More than once?
In a Bainbridge town in the county down, one morning in last July, with my boring grin and a sweet Colleen, and she smiled when she passed me by. She looked so sweet from the two-bed feet to the sheen of her brown hair. Such a coaxing elf, shook myself for the sea, I was surely there. From Bantry Bay to Derry Clear, and from Galway to Dublin town, no way I see like a brown Colleen, and I'm out in the county down. Onward sped, well, I scratch my head and I coach with the feeling away. And I says I, to a passerby who's a man with a nut brown hair. He smiled at me and he says he, that's a gem of Aaron's brown. Young Rosie McCann from the banks of the bank, star of the county down. From Bantry Bay to Derry Clear, and from Galway to Dublin town. Oh, way I see like a brown Colleen and a bird in the county down. I'll be sure there, I dress in my Sunday clothes. When my shoes don't ride,